Car Talk is presented by Gates Automotive, Northern Indiana's premier local owned auto dealer, specializing in Toyota, Chevy, and pre-owned vehicle sales and service. Gates Automotive has locations in South Bend, Mishawaka, Granger, and Elkhart. For more information, visit gatesautomotive.com.
Hey everyone, JC here. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Car Talk presented by Gates Automotive, where we talk about everything car related from buying, selling, to financing and servicing. Today's guest spends a lot of his time being passionate about everything he does, whether he's at home, pouring into his family, or working on developing his team at work. He also helps customers discover the best financing options for them and really puts them first. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Greg Wolfe.
Happy to be here, Jordan. It's awesome. Pretty cool.
Well, great. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for making time out of your day to do this. I know you mentioned this was your first podcast, and maybe even first interview set up like this. So thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and doing this.
I'm excited to be here.
You ready for the first part?
Let's do it.
Okay. The first part is a 30-second rundown.
Okay.
I'm going to throw as many questions as you would possible. You're going to try and answer as many as possible in 30 seconds. Let's start the clock.
All right, here we go.
Here's the true test, right? 3, 2, 1. What's your full name?
Gregory Wolfe.
Where were you born?
Munster, Indiana.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Maryville, Indiana.
Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Hammond Baptist High School.
Are you married?
I am.
When did you get married?
I got married October 3rd, 2021.
And how many kids do you have?
3.
All right, let's stop that for a second. We got a lot done, man. Look at that.
Didn't hear that one question. That's why I paused. I was like,
yeah, you were like,
what's he asking me?
What? Huh? We've got 3 more we'll get through real quick, just to kind of sum them up.
Sure.
When did you start at Gates?
Started at Gates. I've worked at Gates twice, so it's kind of a trick question. Started in 2011, in the summer of 2011.
Great. And what roles have you had here at Gates, and what are you doing currently?
Sure, absolutely. So been in sales. That's where I started. I worked a little bit in the internet department when I first started, the first couple of weeks, and then moved right out to the sales floor. So sold cars for Gates for a while, and then moved into the finance office, and then I've been transitioning into doing finance and also doing part of sales managing as well.
Great. I think you're a huge asset to the team just because you're passionate about everything you do. And whatever you've done, whether it's sales, whether it's finance, whether you've taken care of filling in for sales managers while they're gone, you've just done a very great job at that. And I think it's because you love what you do.
I do.
The same thing with your family. You love your family. You're just so committed to putting them first and making that work. And so your kids, what ages are they?
So I've got, my oldest is 10, Carly. And then I've got Natalie, who is 6. And then I have a 1-year-old that is a handful. So. Naya is her name.
Naya's a handful, huh?
Yeah. As expected, though.
Yeah,
right?
True. What do you expect at 1, right?
Exactly.
Great. Let's talk about finance-related stuff.
Sure.
Let's start with that. Let's start with the big question.
Okay.
Why would someone do a lease instead of buying a car and financing it that way? What are some trade-offs between the two?
So there's I was actually doing some research on this yesterday. Didn't know that this was going to be a question. I'm doing some training on leasing for some of the new guys.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that when I was doing putting together some notes, was leasing, buying, situational for customers. One way could be the best way to buy a car for some customers, and another way could be the best situation to lease a car for other customers. It's very situational. There's some pros and cons to both. It depends on basically what the customer needs. The biggest thing is if a customer, how their buying habits are. If a customer is a type that likes to trade in and out of vehicles, it really doesn't make sense for them to finance a vehicle for a very long period of time. It'd be more beneficial and financially better for them just to lease the vehicle if they're going to be trading in and out of the vehicle. That's the biggest determining factor, is how long do you really want to keep your vehicle?
Exactly. So when they're leasing, they're going to get a new vehicle, whatever their lease term is.
Correct.
Whether it's, now they could do a 2 year, I think you can do 2 years with GM, is that right?
You can.
You can. So 2 years, 3 years. Is there a extended
do a 4-year
option?
for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
So you got some options. We don't just finance with GM Financial. There's a few other different lenders that we use too as well for some leasing opportunities that makes it a little bit more competitive. So it makes it better for, might be a better lease option with another lender, which just helps the consumer for sure.
Exactly. And Mike and I were talking about this the other day, is we have so many options available and we help really slow down that process so we can help find out the best option for that customer for their financing needs, because it's not cookie cutter.
Absolutely.
There's so many different things we could go through and discuss. So with leasing, I guess the biggest drawback that you wouldn't want to do leasing maybe is a mileage term.
Sure. If you're the type of person that, hey, I've got kids in school and we're doing travel this, travel that, leasing might not be the best way to go because there is a miles restriction. And now you can take up to 15,000 miles a year, which is a lot, over the course of your lease. So even still, some people think, oh, I can't lease, I drive too much. Yeah. And then you really break down how much they're driving, and they're not. I mean, they're driving maybe 11, 12,000 on an average. So
exactly.
It's really just diving in and really giving it a lot of thought for the customer and really figuring out if it is the best situation for them.
Exactly. And even if they do go over on mileage, it's not the end of the world, especially if they're questioning if they're going to buy the car.
Correct.
There's kind of two options. I think you either pay a penalty or you can still buy out the vehicle at that point, can't you?
So if you are ever, of the mindset that, I love this vehicle after I've leased it, you can buy the vehicle out. You're not penalized for anything that you go over, which is a nice thing. And then we're gates too. We always say that too. A lot of times when it gets close, that's our line. Come in. There's always a lot of options that we have available to you if you are starting to get close on miles.
I love how we do everything to put the customer first when they're buying their car, when they're turning their lease in, when they're trying to figure out what to trade it in on, when they come to service their car. There's just so many things we do to put that customer first. Why else do you think Gates is so different than other dealers here in this area?
Well, you nailed it. We're nothing without our customers. So that's
exactly
that's what it ultimately comes down to. And if we're of the mindset that we're just this great company, we're nothing without them. So we have to treat them in a way that we want them to come back. And the biggest thing that we are different is we give them an experience that they don't get at other places, with just the culture and the mindset that we have. From the top down, all the employees have it, and that's kind of why we set ourselves apart.
That's great. I love that about everything you've said. There are a lot of people out there that hate the finance department.
Sure.
Why do you think they hate the finance department, and why is that different when they come to Gates?
Sure. So the finance office gets the stigma that I think for a lot of people, they don't know what to expect. In the past, maybe they've had a bad experience of something going wrong, something that they thought was going to happen, and then it didn't. And so it's just a stigma that's on the finance office. And it's our job, and what we try to do, first and foremost, as soon as we meet somebody, is kind of tell them, hey, I don't know what you've kind of been through in the past. We're a whole lot different than any other finance department, and we want to take care of you at the end of the day. We don't want you to feel any type of way, but that you're being taken care of.
That's great. You guys have such a great team over there at Chevy in your finance department. Yeah. Obviously, that's where we kind of grow the team too as a whole for all of Gates Automotive. Is when we do add people at Chevy. It's basically been the training ground. Yeah. So we bring them in there, we put them on a 3-month training program, and it's really hard to get through that.
Sure.
They work bell to bell. So what that means is open to close.
6 days a week.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
No days off. No nothing.
90 days.
Because you want to see how committed they are.
Sure.
And that's what we've done forever. So there's a huge advantage to that. But even at Chevy with you guys, your team is just so well built. And you guys spend so much time pouring into each other so that everybody's doing the right thing all the time.
Sure.
If someone needs help, you're willing to step in to help them. When there's a lead role that's out, someone steps up and takes care of that. You guys have done an awesome job at that.
I think we balance each other out. That's the biggest part of having a team. Somebody's good somewhere else. This guy understands his strength. And then when you understand that, hey, you have a common goal, and you guys are just trying to win, there's no ego trip that kind of pulls you down. We're there to build each other up, which is kind of the mindset that we've had.
That's great. And again, it's just a huge props to you guys for having such a great team over there. Mike has done a great job at setting that pace. You have done an awesome job at continuing on with that, and it doesn't even just stop at your team. It's the entire team at Chevy, not just in sales, but also in service. They've just done a great job at that, and I guess we can only thank the owners for that.
Yeah, just it's been trickled down. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the first person to come up with how it's
you're right.
It's ran. So just follow in the footsteps. So.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a road that's been paved for us up to this point,
100%.
And we've done a good job at kind of taking it further to see where else it's going to go.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the new car shortage.
Okay.
That's been a huge issue the last year, year and a half. Well, let's say year, about that.
About a year. Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to affect us the next few months, maybe even 3 to 5 months. They're talking about having this fixed by third quarter of this year, at least for Chevy. But there's also like a recovery period because we're supposed to have between 150 and 200 cars on the ground.
Sure.
Do you know how many new cars they had on the ground this morning?
I think we have 2.
Isn't that crazy?
This morning, yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
To think of, I was talking to Aaron, the new car manager, just the other day. And
shout out to Aaron.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron. Behind his desk, that's where we put all the keys, and every single slot used to be filled with a key. I think that holds over 200 cars, and some of them were even doubled up. Just to remember back, that wasn't even that long ago that we used to have, over 250 new cars on the ground.
That's right.
It seems crazy to even think about now.
Exactly. And even when you look at the model breakdown, there were certain models that we had 70 or 80 of.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we had a whole holding lot, not even
That's right.
by the dealership. That was just, it's over there. Go find it. Yeah. Needle in a haystack.
Yeah, how crazy.
Yeah.
And I think what people don't understand is it's not just going to be the faucets turn on again. It's going to be a slow recovery period for inventory levels.
Sure.
Today we might have 2 or 3 on the ground, and even though GM is picking up production for the next few months, that doesn't mean that one day we're just going to have 100 on the ground right now to choose from.
Sure. The biggest thing is too right now is just the way the new car buying process is. We have a stack of, I think it's 60 plus orders that have already been sold.
Wow.
With an additional stack, there's 2 separate stacks of vehicles that we still need to order that we haven't even been able to place orders for, maybe, 20 or 30 plus in that stack. So close to 100 cars. So filling that and trying to just catch up is just it's a cycle in itself. But luckily we've been able to maintain, and then the vehicles that come in, we were able to move them pretty quickly if they haven't already been sold.
Exactly. So we're selling so deep on some of these models that even if we can't, like, let's say an allocation drop happens, maybe we're only allocated 5 of that one model for the next month. Well, we might have 10 or 15 of those sold.
Correct.
So it's not even possible to fill that.
And it's hard for us as a dealership we want to tell the consumer, hey, keep them updated, right? Everybody wants to know, hey, I put an order and I'm excited about my new vehicle.
Exactly.
And we don't want to give them false hope either, though. So that's the biggest thing that we try to make ourselves different from as well, is try to say, hey, we're going to give you a realistic, this is what they're saying. We don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it's still the best place to buy a car. So we're optimistic that hopefully it's going to come in sooner than later, but eventually the car will be here.
Yeah.
Is what we're trying to, the message we're trying to give off.
Exactly. What kind of advice would you give to a new car buyer that's looking for a new Chevy right now?
So the biggest thing is it's never been a better time. It sounds crazy to buy a car, especially if you have a trade-in vehicle.
That's very true.
And that's why if you are in the market to buy it, looking for a car, it's never been a better time in the history. You may have to wait. Somebody came into the dealership, I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they said they were selling cars 60s or 70s at Gates, and they said it was
my word.
The parallel that they were drawing was that how they used to buy new cars. People used to buy new cars. They used to order them. That's how it was done way back when. They didn't buy off the showroom floor. You picked out everything you wanted and you ordered it from the manufacturer. And that's kind of what we've gone back to inadvertently with the shortage. But it's kind of how it was back then. They didn't have a bunch of inventory on the lot. So
how crazy to think about that too. The 60s or 70s,
Yeah.
I guarantee that they mailed that into GM too.
Yeah,
there was no electronic processing. I don't even know if fax was around in 60s or 70s.
Sure. It's crazy to think about. But I would just tell anybody that's looking for a new car, if you are able to hang out and wait for 2 or 3 months, come in, at least put some type of order in. You're going to be happy you did, because you're going to get a really good deal. One, especially on your trade vehicle. And then
Exactly.
2 on the vehicle that you're getting from us.
Exactly. And I think that comes down to not waiting. If you wait, it's only going to get deeper,
Right.
the orders. So
Exactly.
once you get your spot there, it's only going to move up.
And you're locked in. So
Exactly.
That's the good thing.
Exactly. And there's still some flexibility. So if they come in today and they say, hey, I want to buy so my neighbor, he was looking at Trailblazers.
Sure.
They ended up buying an Equinox from us, but he's also looking at a new Blazer for himself.
Yeah.
And one thing he's able to do is put money down, save his spot in line, even though he doesn't really know the exact options that he wants right now. That's kind of the cool thing, is he can save his spot, and when it comes time, he can say, hey, it is this color, it is these options.
It makes it very cool for the consumer to be able to say, hey, I built my exact vehicle.
How cool.
You know, in the past, you just were like, hey, this is the one that we have here. It's kind of got maybe missing one or two things that you might want, but it's here.
Yeah.
In this case, you get to say, hey, from the ground up, I got to, pick out all the options. I got to pick this color, that color, and then it was built specifically for me. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to say that you got to do, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. You get to basically personalize your own vehicle.
Exactly.
As long as you're patient and willing to wait for it to come, which most people are, then you get exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
And even if you have a trade-in, just like you said, it's not a better time to do it because your trade has never been worth more. If you do have a lease, you maybe are on a little bit of a deadline, but I think you can extend your lease by a few months.
Chevy and GM they've kind of understood what's been going on. So they're allowing lease extensions as long as you have a vehicle picked out and you have an order in for another one. They're willing to let you extend your lease until that vehicle gets here. So So getting that process started is the most important thing, especially if you have a lease coming up. I would definitely encourage you to come in and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, great. Now let's transition to the company itself. If there was a new salesperson that's starting at Gates Automotive, let's say they're in sales, let's say they're in service, what would you tell them about Gates as far as what our culture is?
Yeah, so we've actually had the opportunity. We've got 4 new sales guys, and the biggest thing that we try to instill into them is that the culture around Gates is that we care about our customers. We're not the dealership that just wants to, meet somebody, sell them a car, and then never see them again. That's not who we are. We believe in that the customer experience is the most important thing. And so that's what we tell them from the start. Treat your customers how you would want to be treated. You may not know everything, especially when you're new, but Gates as an organization is going to stand behind you. And we've got the proper people to make sure that you're successful. And a lot of other places don't really, they just want you to sell a car. We want to help you be successful. So
exactly,
that's the kind of attitude that we try to pour out to the new guys.
I think so too. And at the base of our culture is we've been here for so long. There's been multiple generations of the family that's been involved in Gates Automotive, and they've really laid that groundwork. Is we want this to be around for another 90 years.
For sure.
We not only want it to be around for our generation, but also their kids and their kids' kids.
Sure.
So that there is only more for everybody. And Mike said it best is, the other day on an episode, Mike said it best was, it's not even just about their family. It's for Greg's family. It's for my family. They're helping us be a part of that, and they're helping the community have a great place where they have the best prices with the best selections so that we're around for a very long time.
And we want people to understand that while, and we'll probably get into this in a little bit, while the car business and buying a car is different and ever changing, Gates is trying to do the same thing, and they want to make sure that while it's changing, you still have a place that you can go to that you don't have to be worried about and that you can trust. That's what we want.
Exactly. What do you think has changed over the last, let's say, decade or 2 decades as far as the car industry goes?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
There's so much.
Yeah, so the biggest thing, obviously, technology in vehicles has changed so much just in the actual product itself. The lineup that Chevy puts out, is just amazing. All the different features, everything that they have, the styling, just great, product. That's one thing. The other thing too is just how you sell a car. Used to be, the way you advertise was just people coming in, the newspaper, ads, things like that. Anymore, the majority of the leads are generated from online, and people are surfing. They're looking here, they're looking there, and that's how they come to find your car. They may be 30, 45, even an hour away, but they found your car online. And so we're transitioning and trying to figure out, hey, how's the best way to service those type of people as well?
That's right.
In that type of customer base. So.
Exactly. And even on our last episode, we had Andrea on, and a shout out to Andrea.
Yeah.
So what she does is she's the internet sales manager at the Chevy store, and she helps serve those customers that you're talking about, the ones that come in through digital lead sources.
Sure.
So that they can have her staff help put that customer and serve them before they even show up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's also changed big time. Just like you said, you hit it right on the head, is people buy cars from distances now.
Yeah.
And they will contact us. We'll work with them before they even get here.
Sure.
And I mean, that's been going on for many years. It's not like it just happened this year. But I think we just need to continue changing to meet their needs. And Gates has done such a great job at that.
And I think just the way everybody has the opportunity to look and see, hey, there's another car over here. This is the price point. Gates has done a very good job of being consistent and being the best price in the area.
Exactly.
As far as their vehicles go.
We've always been that way.
Exactly.
There are other dealers right now that are new dealers that are doing huge market adjustments on these new cars.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's all for the sake of, I mean, there's obviously good and bad to it.
For sure.
There's a balance to it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and there are some dealers out there that are doing like a $30,000 markup on some of these cars. There was a new Cadillac Escalade with all the options. MSRP was supposed to be like 104, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The dealer sold it for like 150 something.
That seems crazy.
Yeah. And they do it to rationalize that, well, we need to have this available for who needs it. And that's how they take care of that. But that's not the Gates way, is we do it more through volume.
Sure.
And that's how we've always been able to do that. So these local customers that do come to us, they are able to buy these vehicles for what they should be able to.
Exactly. And we want them to, at the end of the day, a couple of years, we don't want them to think back like, oh man, I was taken advantage of.
Yeah.
That's not the attitude that we want them
exactly.
to have gone through. We want them to know, hey, we still took care of you even when times were tough. We were there for you.
Exactly. I love that about Gates. We're always just putting the customer first at every avenue possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about when you were selling cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So you did that for many years.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about selling?
Man, there's so many. To try to put your finger on one would be tough. The biggest thing is just the excitement of helping somebody, just find that car that they're looking for.
Yeah.
The thrill of the sale is a real thing. The excitement that comes from, hey, when somebody buys is kind of hard to even put in words. But that's one thing that was really cool, just helping families, find their next vehicle, and then being able to get those same family to come back to you. I mean, that's another one of the cool things about Gates, the relationships that you build with the community.
How cool is it that you help someone buy a car and then months later, a year later, 2 years later, they text you they say, hey, I'm looking for another car again.
That still happens.
Exactly.
Not selling, but still happens. I'm always selling. So still happens.
And then it'll continue to happen.
Absolutely.
That's what we try to instill into our staff is, hey, this will happen. Mm-hmm. When you take care of your customer and you put them first at every avenue possible, they will come back to you so that you can help them again.
Exactly, and it's about being genuine. I think at the end of the day,
and authentic and all that.
Yeah, that's what customers are looking for, and they can sniff it out quicker than anything if you're not genuine with them. If you're genuine, they're going to come back to you. If you treated them right and did the right thing, they want somebody that they can trust. And we've said that a couple of times already today, but that's what they're looking for.
Exactly. Now, so with Toyota, they are moving towards more of a hybrid setup. With Chevy, they're doing something pretty similar where they're going more in and putting money towards the electric vehicles that are available.
Super exciting.
Yeah. And in the next couple years, if I remember correctly, they wanted to have 26 new electric vehicles announced by 2026.
Very, very cool stuff happening at Chevy. Yeah.
And I also think that their current models that they have today, they've never looked better.
Yeah. I mean, they're sharp-looking vehicles. The release just happened for that new EV Silverado.
That's right.
Which is a sharp-looking truck.
What do you think about the new Silverado EV?
Oh, man, I think. Thank you for asking. Let me tell you about it now. No, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful vehicle. They did a good job all the way around, styling purposes. Just all the features that it's going to have. People. Do I want an electric car? Is it going to look like in their mind, some little tiny vehicle, and being able to put that in a truck is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and how cool is it that it's not like a huge price difference between a normal Silverado and the EV one. Now, they haven't announced prices, I know that.
Sure.
But the technology is there now. If you look at the way that other manufacturers like Tesla, Rivian have gone through and put research into this kind of stuff, it now exists so that it's more affordable.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, some people will look at that and say that's not affordable, but it's more affordable than what it used to be. Like, you used to have to spend $100,000 to $200,000 just to even touch a decent electric vehicle.
Right.
Chevy's done a good job at providing cheaper options. Even they did a Volt. I know that wasn't pure electric because it had an extender on it, but they did have a Spark EV.
Spark EV, the Bolt.
And the Bolt, you're right.
The Bolt is a very good one that gives you a lot of range and then price point. And they were incentivizing these things crazy too when they first come out too. So, there's just a lot of pros to go. We're going more towards electric than we're going towards gas, I would say. So
I think so too.
It's just a matter of the switch and when it's going to turn over completely to that. So
exactly, and part of that's because of the regulations that either the federal level has or the state level. For example, to sell I probably don't have this stat correctly, but to sell vehicles in California, at least 3% of the vehicles that you sell have to be electric vehicles, pure electric. Mm-hmm. So there are incentives to do that.
Stat right. So
okay, good. If not, it's close to that.
Yeah. We actually had we had a Bolt come back in on a trade, and somebody from California just bought it just a couple nights ago. So kind of crazy.
So let's talk about the Bolt real fast.
Yeah, sure.
I know that there's some negative impacts that the Bolt has had. So let's just talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
There's a recall out.
Battery, right? Everybody.
Easy fix.
Well. They say easy fix. So it's an extensive fix. It's a repair that is for all of the bolts that are out there. It's a recall, just like your recalls on other vehicles, and that's the thing not to freak out about. Yeah. Is they've been having recalls since they started making vehicles. So there's always been something. Most of the time, there's something with new models that they have to figure out that they've worked through to understand. Hey, we should probably do it better this time. And then they come out with a recall and they fix it, and then we move on. So
exactly,
nothing to freak out about.
It sounded so scary. Yeah. Exactly, it's a great vehicle, and even with the recall, it's a free repair. It's all included. We take care of that for you because we are a Chevy authorized service center. With the Bolt 2, there were some people that freaked out about it because Chevy said, you can't park this in your garage, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Right.
Even though it was a percentage of vehicles that were affected.
Sure.
I think they just did that to cover their own butts.
Sure. It's just a safety measure. Yeah. As anybody in business would tell you, hey, that this is liability purposes. Let's just say this blanket statement. Again, nothing to worry about. Chevy's got the smartest engineers in design and in any electrical stuff, so they'll be able to figure it out for sure.
And it's all covered. They're putting staff dedicated towards that. Yeah. All that's already taken care of. They just have to have the parts there to be able to fix it.
For sure.
So they will be able to take care of those repairs. And then even beyond that, Chevy goes way out of their way to protect themselves, even on small recalls. Like, let's say that the floor mats had a recall on them. We are not legally by Chevy allowed to sell that vehicle.
Right. Yeah, they put a stop on it if something like that. Or they put a stop on some vehicles that came in with tonneau covers that had a latch that might have been missing.
Yeah. That's just them covering their butts.
Again, covering their butts, as Jordan would say.
Yeah. But they've done a huge dedicated effort towards electric vehicles. Obviously, the Silverado EV that they're bringing out, I think that's going to be a huge thing for this area.
I mean, they're saying they're going to go to the Equinox, the Blazer. Wow. All these things are going to be EV here pretty soon, too. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just offering that more. Just like you said, they're starting to move towards that. They're not jumping in the deep end entirely. But you're right. There are consumers that are changing more towards the hybrid or the electric vehicle side instead of the internal combustion engine, just because it's a better option. It's better fuel economy. It's better investment. It's better for the environment.
Right.
And there are federal incentives out there for manufacturers to do that.
Right. And again, it's just because we did things for so long one way doesn't mean the next way is wrong. It just means it's a new thing.
It's new.
So just getting adjusted and used to that is something that I think might take a little bit of time, but will happen. So
exactly. And I think it's going to be consumers that decide that.
For sure.
And we'll see that over the next 5 or 10 years as far as what kind of overflow we have from the internal combustion engine to a hybrid or a EV vehicle.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
Pretty cool. We saw one of the new Hummer truck EVs out at the mall just a couple weeks ago. So somebody around here has one, and
I didn't even know those were
cool.
available to the public.
Available.
That's cool.
Charging up at the mall.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Chevy's product right now has never looked better. The Blazer, the Trailblazer, the Traverse, the Equinox with the refreshes, they've done a really great job at taking that to the next level. They look great.
They don't. One thing I appreciate about Chevy is they don't just stick with something and then just run it for 5 years and don't do any updates. They're always ever changing, ever getting a little bit better. Interior, exterior, they're just top of the line, and have always just pushed themselves to be just a little bit better every single year, which is why I think they're the most successful brand out there.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Now I know you're a Chevy man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you drive.
Yeah, sure.
What do you drive? What does your wife drive?
Yeah, so I drive a 2022 Tahoe, and then the wife drives a 2021 Traverse.
Traverse, yeah.
Yeah.
Both great options. The Traverse, obviously, that's a third row SUV that they offer that's very affordable. Then your Tahoe, that's a nice vehicle.
Very nice vehicle.
Especially with the body style update.
Yeah, I was excited. The opportunity presented itself. It wasn't sold. It was available. I was coming up on my lease, and was able to get into a lease on the Tahoe, and it worked, made sense. I actually lowered my payment, which seems crazy
How
to
crazy.
be able to do on a Tahoe. So I was happy about it, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, that's why leasing is so effective for some people.
For sure.
If you are getting out of a vehicle every couple years, then you can get something that's affordable, and then you're only buying that one portion of the vehicle as opposed to having to purchase the entire vehicle.
Yeah, the total investment a lot of times is what I look at. Hey, how much am I spending total on a vehicle, right? Each year I try to say, hey, this is what I think is what works for me. And I think, families and people, how they buy cars should look at it that way. Yeah. What's your total investment going to be? So I look at it, hey, if I buy this vehicle, I'm going to be spending, $65,000, $70,000, however much it costs. If I'm leasing it, my total investment might only be $18,000 to $20,000. So that's the difference. $18,000, $20,000. It's hard to find a used vehicle for that kind of price right now. So
exactly.
If you think about it that way, hey, I'm only spending $18,000 to $20,000 on a brand new 2022 Tahoe. That it might encourage some people to say, hey, if I think that might be the better route to take.
Exactly. And if you want the factory warranty coverage, so that you're covered for that entire period.
Right. You don't have to worry about any mechanical or anything. You're covered under the manufacturer stuff. So
exactly. And even at the end of that period, if you still want to buy that vehicle, you have the chance to.
Right. And the biggest thing that I always, when I was selling cars and explaining leases is, you were the person who drove this car, so what it's kind of been through.
Yeah.
You're not having to go, find a vehicle 3 years old that you don't know how that owner took care of it. You were the one who took care of it. So if you do want to buy it out, that gives you another options. I like options. I like keeping my options open.
Yeah.
I don't like to be tied down for a loan for 84 months. Some people, they're okay because they know they're just going to keep it forever. So that's fine for them. It works for them. For me, I like to know, hey, in 3 years, if I want to do something different, I can do that. So my last lease, I only did 24 months. So,
really?
Yeah, I did the short term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Traverse that they were leasing, that's a 27. We like to keep it, when you work at a dealership, so many nice things come through, so it's like you get the itch quite often. So
exactly. The next one comes in, you're like, ooh, here we go.
Exactly. So
I'm calling Chelsea.
Right.
That's great. And obviously Chevy is an awesome product. There's a lot of things that they do really well. It's designed really well, whether it's the actual cosmetic aesthetic of it or also the safety features.
For sure.
And they're also very comfortable.
So Chevy has made it a very big focus on all their safety stuff. They've made it a priority in a lot of their even lower trim levels to make sure that it's just come standard. And that's, I think, a testament to what they stand behind too, is they want to make sure that the customer at the end of the day is being safe, and the car that they drive is a safe vehicle. Top ratings all the way across the board for the last however many years, but they've been just number one. So that's just a testament to what the product that they've built.
Exactly, and their engineers have been working on that for decades, let's say.
For sure.
And they're trying to bring the best every single time that they release something, whether it's the updated Traverse or the refreshed look of the Equinox or the brand new Silverado EV.
Yeah,
it's just really cool to see that.
Very.
What do you think the future holds for Chevy?
Wow, again, you with loaded questions. No, I think Chevy is on the rise. There's a lot of cool things that they're doing. We've never sold more Corvettes in a year than we have, and with that launch, with the new C8 and then the Z06 that's coming, is just a great thing for Chevy. They've done an excellent job handling all that. And then, yeah, with the future of electric is pretty exciting to think about. They're not going anywhere for a long time, that's for sure.
Exactly. What do you think the future holds for Gates Automotive?
Same type of answer there. I could say we're not going anywhere. Been here for a long time, and the ultimate goal is just to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do for our customers day in and day out, and then just be successful. Is what Gates is all about.
Exactly. Something exciting that we're doing the next few months is breaking ground on the new Chevy store here in South Bend.
Super exciting.
So that's really cool to see. It's kind of inspiring to see the fact that they're able to bring Chevy to South Bend. I know it started in South Bend.
Yeah.
And then we downsized it to a satellite store in Mishawaka. But it's cool to see that we're coming back to South Bend, that we're growing, that we're expanding. But it's because consumers want that.
Yeah, and I think
they desire it.
Consumers want to. They've known the Gates name as Chevy in this area specifically, so that's a very, very cool thing. And they, I don't know how many times I've heard people in my office come in and the old Chevy store in downtown, South Bend, and the old Sears building. I've heard it so many times. So it's very, very, very cool for a lot of those people to. To get obviously we're coming back to South Bend, so it's pretty cool. It's kind of a full circle thing, and it'll be a brand new dealership, state of the art, so that'll be pretty cool too.
It's cool. I mean, they're literally going to do it from the ground up for that new store. It's cool to see. They're going to have a lot of great inventory once that opens up.
Yeah.
So that's cool. They're going to plan on breaking ground in March of this year of 21.
Super exciting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they hope to have it done in about 12 months. Now, that's also construction timelines.
Yeah.
So we know that will change, right?
Gosh, construction.
You got to plan for it.
Yeah.
And then, so we talked about what the future of Chevy, what the future holds for Chevy, what the future holds for Gates. What does the future hold for Greg Wolfe?
Yeah, that's we're going to it again. Yeah, no, I think so. Gates is just a great organization. The future for me is here. Gates is again just an amazing place to work for. I appreciate just what they've dove in and given to me, which is why I give back and why I'm so passionate about doing everything I can for the organization.
That's great. I love
that. They
that.
believe in you, and that's what it's all about. You want to find a place that you enjoy going to. Who likes to wake up and go to a place that they're miserable at? And that I can't say that. I get to laugh, cut up with a great team. We have a great time. We do a lot of good stuff. We work hard, and at the end of the day, that's what the future is, and it's to grow. That's what we hope happens, or that's what I hope happens the next moving forward.
And it will happen.
Yeah,
you get to choose that.
Absolutely.
So, Greg, let's talk about credit score for a few minutes.
Sure.
If someone maybe doesn't have the best credit score, what are some things that they can do to improve that? I mean, obviously, they need some advice. So maybe coming to us is the best first step. But what are some pieces of advice that you give people to improve their credit score?
Yeah, so absolutely. The biggest thing I always tell people, if they say, hey, I've got some credit challenges and things that have come up, I always tell them to come in. Because the biggest thing that we can do is we look at credit every single day.
That's right.
Not a lot of industries are able to kind of look through and see that. So we've got a lot of insight in telling people, hey, if you did, a lot of times people have, very little derogatory marks. They may have a Sprint bill or some type of utility bill that never got paid, and it's very minimal, $300 or $400, but it's bringing down their score hundreds of points. And we tell them, hey, if you just clean that little part up, your score within the next 3-4 months should shoot up significantly. And that's the benefit, is you come to us, we can give you some good advice. And a lot of times too, we're able to just help you out even while you're in the middle of trying to rebuild credit. And I tell people this all the time, the best way to rebuild credit is getting an auto loan, right? Showing some consistent payments on time with a loan is going to just do nothing but help your credit.
Exactly. And some people think that they're being held back by their credit, but that doesn't stop them from moving forward with what they want, which is getting a car loan.
And people need a car. So that's the biggest thing. So you have to I got to be able to provide for my family, and how do I get to work with a car? So you have to have a vehicle to be able to provide and do anything. So to be able to even restart, you need a vehicle, you need wheels. So you're going to have to bite the bullet at some point, and this is the best way to kind of just, again, reestablish yourself. A lot of times you may pay a little bit more, and we're honest and transparent about that. Hey, you're probably going to pay a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it's just going to help you and benefit you to where the next time, you're in a way better situation.
Exactly. And imagine where they will be credit-wise in 6 months, in 12 months, in 2 years. That way they have more choices and more options when that comes around.
Yeah, so, we've seen it totally transform lives, to be quite frank with you. Many people have come in, low 500s and have been able to, jump their score up within 6-8 months, sometimes even a year, into the 700s. And it's just amazing to see. They come in and then, they go from a, 18-19% interest rate to the single digits, which is a pretty awesome thing to see.
Exactly. And it gives them so many more options in their life. For example, they might not be able to purchase a house at first, especially if they have no credit. And because the fact that they're building that credit with a car loan, then they have that option. And
they have that history. And that's what lenders, whether they're in the mortgage industry or you're in the auto industry, banks, they're looking for somebody who has made on-time, consistent payments, right? They're trusting you to give you, they're putting the risk out on you, and they want to know that, hey, what's their track record? What have they done? And if you've got some current, stuff that has showed, hey, I may have had some hiccups in the past, but hey, haven't missed, payment since, and I've been, they can see that on the report. So that helps significantly when it comes to, like you said, buying a house, getting a different car if you wanted to do that. So.
Exactly. What would you consider as a good credit score? Now, that's going to vary because there's different sources you could pull from. What would you say is a decent credit score?
Decent credit score, there's different levels, right? So your good to decent credit scores is anywhere 650 or above. And then obviously you've got your A+, which is 800 and above.
Yeah.
And then again, I would never try to discourage somebody like, oh, I'm not even a 600. I'm a 500. That's okay. Again, you have to start somewhere to be able to get to. We've all started when we were zero, so everybody was a zero.
True,
at some point.
You're right.
So you got to start somewhere to just get better.
Exactly, and just like you said, even if they are a 500 or less than 650, they can still get an auto loan.
Absolutely. So we work with so many. That's the benefit of Gates too.
Yeah.
We've been in business for so long, 90 plus years, and so the relationships that we've been able to build with local, national lenders is way more. And again, those relationships are different than any other dealership in town. And we have more. We have more resources at our disposal to be able to just help people with second chance financing, and to be able to actually put them in a vehicle where other dealerships just flat out tell them, hey, you're not approved. We're able to come through. And that's a very rewarding thing when you tell somebody and they're, wondering, they're sitting there, I don't know if I'm going to get approved for this car.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
They're just stressing to the max, right? And you're able to go out there and be like, hey, man, you're good to go. I got you approved. Let me give you the good news. And it's just an exciting thing for people.
Exactly. And you get to be a part of that so often.
Yeah.
And for some people, it seems silly. They walk in, they know they're going to get approved, or they just don't even question it.
Right.
But there are some people where not only does that change their day, but that changes their entire perspective on life.
For sure.
Now, they still need to make good choices afterwards.
Absolutely.
But this can help them either get on track for the right track or get them back on track for where they want to be. And that way they have such a better, not a better life, but they have the options and the choices down the road.
For sure. And it just puts them in a better position moving forward. And that's at the end of the day what we want for people who are, in that credit, getting that reestablished, or they've had some credit challenges in the past. At the end of the day, we just want to help them succeed and be able to put them in a vehicle and put them in a good position.
That's great. I love that. Why do you think that Gates is such a great fit for anybody here in Michiana?
So again, it's just the way how you would want to be treated. I'm not saying that I don't know the other dealerships. I know from stories from customers. Right? I've never shopped anywhere else but Gates.
True,
so that's
yeah.
I may be a little bit biased in that. However, I do know how we do business, and that's what I can tell just every customer wondering, hey, should I go here? Should I go there? If you come to us, we're going to treat you right. We're going to treat you fair. You're going to have a good experience. We're happy. We're smiling. You're going to hear a lot of laughs throughout the whole time while you're buying the car, which is advantageous. If you're laughing, I'm laughing. Everybody's laughing. And that's at the end of the day what we want you to have. We want you to just have a good experience. Feel like you got a nice car. You know a lot about your car. A lot of the salespeople, especially that we have right now, are very knowledgeable on the product that we have, which leaves customers, feeling like they know what they bought. It's frustrating when you get a customer who never bought from you and they trade in their vehicle and they trade it in and they hand you the key and they say, well, I'm glad the new car has remote start. And you look at the key and it had remote start on it the whole time and they didn't know it, because that's happened many times. And that's just.
But no one ever showed them. When they bought it somewhere else, no one showed them what it was.
Correct. They just, here's the keys, see you later type of attitude. And we definitely don't have that mindset. So
that's awesome. What would you say when someone's buying a car and they come to Gates to buy a car? What can they expect from us?
They can expect to. That they're going to be treated right. They're going to be treated fair, that we're going to have what they're looking for. And if we don't, we're going to find what they're looking for. That's a lot of times, if it's something specific and very niche, we have the opportunity to go out and find exactly what they want, which a lot of other dealerships, if they don't have it, go somewhere else and get it, is the attitude. And we don't treat it that way.
Exactly. We don't operate that way. Not at all. Now, since you're an expert on Tahoe,
sure.
Let's talk about trim levels on the Tahoe.
Yeah.
So what trim levels are available? What options are available? Let's just talk about that for a few minutes.
The new Tahoe, the new styling on the new body style is gorgeous. They've got a totally redesign, gave you a bunch of new room in the back. Everybody was always worried about, hey, I'm not going to have any cargo room. But they didn't sacrifice any space either. So that's the other cool thing. But just to speak about the outside of the vehicle, it's just a sharp looking, slim. They've kind of just made everything the headlights, they've totally redesigned that.
That's right.
The grille, everything looks very good there. So a couple different trim levels. You got the LT, you have the RST, which is an appearance package. You've got your premier trim level, and then you've got a high country, which is the very top of the line. We actually have one available if anybody's looking for one. We've got a red high country available.
Stop by Gates Chevy World.
Shout out. Available. One of our 2 vehicles that we have.
Yeah, you're right. One of 2.
Come pick it up. Won't be there.
What's available on the high country?
So the high country comes with some badging, that our high country badging. Inside, it gives you all the top of the line tech, gives you heads up display, gives you the huge panoramic sunroof, gives you it's got charging for your phone, wireless charging, wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto.
That's cool.
Which is very cool. It's a feature that they've put in the other trim levels as well. They come with just all the extras, every feature, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel. I mean, they're just loaded up to the gills on the high country. Everything you could want. It has all the safety, the 360 camera all the way around. It's got the rear view camera. Just a bunch of different things that the high country brings.
That's cool. My dad was in town a few weeks ago, and his rental was a new Tahoe.
Okay.
I think it was an LT.
Okay.
And I got a chance to drive, and I was like, crap, dude. And I was thinking, how come I didn't ask Greg to drive his sooner?
Right, exactly.
What was I thinking?
What's crazy is even the LTs, when you get into them, that's what I drive. The difference is very minimal. They even those ones are loaded up, and you feel like, whoa, what am I? There's a lot of stuff in this thing, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, what kind of black tie event am I going to in this?
Exactly.
That's great. So, Greg, there's a lot of stuff that we covered today. And let's talk about you for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
What is it that inspires you?
So I'd say the biggest thing that inspires me would be my family, to just push every single day.
Shout out to Greg's family.
Shout out to Greg's
Shout
family.
out to Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea. Newlyweds.
Yeah.
Just to push every day for them. God's been a great inspiration for me. I can't.
That's great.
His impact in my life is huge. It's something that has pushed me as well. But those 2 things is what I think has inspired me to kind of just be who I am and the passion that I have for the business.
That's awesome. Well, Greg, I think we're going to draw this episode to a close. And
It's been fun.
I know. Is there anybody you want to shout out specifically, whether it's people we work with, family members, maybe that's listening, or maybe someone here in the community?
Yeah, I think it's just a shout out to the family again. Chelsea,
Shout out to the family.
the
Shout to
three
Chelsea.
girls.
Shout to the girls.
My house is covered in pink, as you can imagine, with 4 women that I live with. And shout out to the team that I work with.
Shout out to the team. Chevy team, the finance
Chevy
team.
team, finance team,
Yeah.
Chevy World.
Shout out to Gay Chevy World.
Yeah, so just a push for them.
That's great. Greg, thank you for making time today to make this happen. I cannot thank you enough for coming here and doing this. So thank you for doing this, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely, thank you.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for tuning in today and listening to Car Talk, presented by Gates Automotive, where we talk about everything car-related, from buying, selling, to financing and servicing. Huge thank you to Greg for coming on today and making this happen, fitting in his schedule. Thanks for listening.